Any list of essential jazz standards to know will probably contain Autumn Leaves. And today I'm going to show you the chord changes to that standard in the guitar-friendly key of E minor. I'll also show you some key variations that you often see and do a dive into what's going on harmonically, because it's that last point which is really important to get. You don't want to just play these standards, you want to understand them so you can relate them to other songs and so you can improvise over them more easily. If you'd like help practicing jazz guitar with purpose, then click subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join me every Wednesday and Saturday for jazz guitar lessons. Now, on to today's lesson. Everything you see on the screen is available as a PDF from my website, including the chord shapes, so go to the description to check that out. So first off, this standard is in classic AAB form, and it's comprised of two A sections, both being 8 bars each, so that totals 16, and then the B section is 16 bars. So our A section goes 1, 2, 3, 4, A minor 7, D 7, G major 7, C major 7, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B 7, E minor for 2 bars. We then go back to the start of that and do it again because it's two A sections, so A minor 7, D 7, these chords could be played elsewhere, G major 7, C major 7, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B 7, back to our E minor for 2 bars. And then that would complete AA. And the B section goes like this. Now this is 16 bars this time. So F sharp minor 7 flat 5 to a B 7 to E minor. The movement we had at the end of the A section. A minor 7, D 7, G major 7. Again, we've already had that movement in the A section. And then we go F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B 7, and it's going to get a bit busier here. E minor 7, E flat 7, D minor 7, D flat 7, C major 7, B 7, E minor to finish. So that's your chords, which you could obviously use different voicings for. They're just suggested ones that I think are good for someone first playing this tune to use. To make the most progress on jazz guitar, you have to understand these standards that you're playing. You can't just play them as songs like you might do in other genres. You need to know how the chords are functioning, why they're working like they do, and to make connections between songs, because these similar things keep happening. And this is a really good example of many typical jazz progressions. But the first thing we need to do to think about it for harmony is to look at the key signature. So look at my chart there, there's 1 sharp. Now, if we reference the circle of fifths, the key signature with 1 sharp is G major or E minor. Now, at the beginning of the video I said this is in the guitar-friendly key of E minor. How do we know this is in G major or E minor? Well, it's how the chords resolve for me. You know, the end of that first section, it resolves to E minor. You know, you go A minor, D7, then there's G, which doesn't feel like chord 1 there, because then this happens. But this, when you get to that E minor at the end of that section, that feels like, we've landed on the 1 chord, to me anyway. So hopefully you can hear that and feel that when you play it. Hopefully you know that G major and E minor, they're relative of each other. So take the G scale and it goes G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Take an E minor scale and it's the same notes but starting on E. E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E. Now as a result, when we harmonise the chords, we give them Roman numerals. You get the same chords but they get different numerals. So the key of G would be, you know, G major 7 chord 1, A minor 7 chord 2, B minor 7 chord 3, C major 7 chord 4, D7 chord 5, E minor 7 chord 6, F sharp minor 7 flat 5 chord 7, back to G. Now if we do the same thing for E minor, we get the same chords with one subtle change, but E minor becomes chord 1 or E minor 7, F sharp minor 7 flat 5 is chord 2, G major 7 is chord 3, A minor 7 is chord 4. Now chord 5 technically should be B minor 7, but because chord 5 is always the chord which needs to go back to chord 1, it's like the dominant chord. Like in the key of G, you go 5, 1, which is D7 to G. In E minor, if we did that, it'd be B minor 7 to E minor 7, which doesn't sound as strong. So what often happens in minor harmony is chord 5 gets changed to a dominant chord. So we get B7 instead of B minor 7, which if you listen, has a stronger pull back to E minor 7. If I go back to B minor 7, doesn't sound as desperate to get to the E minor as the B7 does. So we've got E minor 7, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, G major 7, A minor 7, B7, C major 7, D7, back to chord 1. I'm going to put the A section chart on the screen with the Roman numerals on, and I've colour coded them just to make this obvious, but for me it feels like the first 4 bars are really kind of feels like a major key. It feels like the key of G. And then it's when you get to that second line it really feels like the minor key. It feels like E minor then. So, you know, that opening 3 chords, A minor 7, D7, G major 7, hopefully you know that as a 2-5-1 in the key of G major. Chords moving in fourths, which we'll come back to later, and then this C major 7. So I've chorded that first line 2, 5, 1, 4. At this point, if I was you, I'd be asking the question, well, wait a minute, you just put the Roman numerals on the screen and said for minor that, you know, A minor in the key of E minor is chord 4, D7 is chord 7, G is chord 3. Now, yes, technically that's right in a minor key, but it would be, this is a 2-5-1, yeah? This is a musical structure we're really used to hearing. It'd be crazy to call that a 4-7-3, even though it technically would be in a minor key. So for me, this first line really is in G major, and then the second line moves to E minor, as you can see by the colours that I've got on the screen. So it's like a 2-5-1 in G major, so there's the 5, here's the 1, and C major 7, chord 4. And then we work back to the overall feeling of the song minor by going F sharp minor 7 flat 5, which is the 2 chord in E minor, B7, which is our dominant, to E minor. And that whole section is about getting to E minor. This is just a lovely movement, the 2-5-1 here. Nice expected movements. But it's not till this F sharp minor 7 flat 5 comes in, it's like, oh, we're going somewhere here. And our destination is this lovely E minor chord. Within that first A section, there's 2 of the most common chord progressions in jazz. The major 2-5-1 and the minor 2-5-1. The major 2-5-1, A minor 7, D7, G, and the minor 2-5-1, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B7 to E minor. If I put a circle of fifths, circle of fourths on the screen, the other thing this chord does, which is very common in jazz, is it moves in fourths. So the circle of fifths is often chord. When you go clockwise, that is a movement of a fifth. When you go the other way, when you go counterclockwise, that's a movement of a fourth. And most chords in jazz compositions move this way. First chord's based on an A, the second chord's based on a D, the next chord's based on a G, the next one's based on a C. You know, if we pick up the minor 2-5-1, you can see down there F sharp, B, E. So these chords are moving in very expected ways, very traditional ways, movement of a fourth. So that's what's going on in our A section. So I sort of describe it as having, you know, a bit in the relative major, then going to the minor key. But, you know, they're all chords from the same pool, if you like, so it all works together well, nothing out of key, and it's very predictable movements. Let's put the B section on the screen. Got the Roman numerals on there again. We've got some blue and green, so the blue is from the E minor. If there's anything green on there, it's from relative major, G major, or we're thinking about it that way. And if there's anything red, it's out of key, so chords which don't belong to G and E minor. So the first 4 bars do what the end of the A section does. So we've got the minor 2-5-1, so the second chord of E minor to the 5th, the dominant, to E minor. We then go back to the relative major, A minor 2-5-1 to G major. Which is so you get that nice movement, you know, real minor feel in line 1, you know, a bit moody. Then we get this slightly sweeter sounding 2-5-1, the major 2-5-1 in G, relative major. And it's this next line where the interesting stuff happens. So the third line in that B section, F sharp minor 7 flat 5 to B7 to 2-5 in E minor to E minor, but for 2 beats. Then we get E flat 7 out of key, D minor 7 out of key, D flat 7 out of key. So obviously the 2-5-1's the thing we've had several times in the song already, but this lovely chromatic descending bass line you get, well, descending chords, E, E flat, D, D flat, and the next chord starts on a C root, so you get that 4, and the chord after that goes B. So I like this because you go, that's the movement in the bass by the chords. And when you get chords falling down chromatically like this, you know, things can work quite nicely as notes sort of go down a semitone, which is a really strong move. But how can we explain this E flat 7? What's going on? Why is it there? So E minor 7, E flat 7, D minor 7. So we're using E flat 7 to get to D minor. Well, first thing I'd ask is what chord would you normally use to get to D minor? Because D minor is not in the key, so if you're going to go to an out of key chord, quite often a composer will use a dominant to do that. What's the dominant of D? Look at our circle of fifths, go one to the right of D, and it's A. So you normally use A7 to get to D minor, which would be like E minor, A7, D minor, which would sound good. Now what often happens is with dominant chords we get what's called the flat 2 7, which is the tritone, which is where you substitute a dominant chord for its tritone. Now the tritone interval is this. So here's an A, play an E flat. It's the flattened fifth away from the root. So what you can do off that flat 5 is play another dominant chord. So instead of playing A7, you can play E flat 7. So you can go E minor 7, E flat 7 as a sub for E minor 7, A7, and it will still give a strong resolution to D minor. There's more to it than that, obviously. It's because A7 and E flat 7 do share two notes, but just know that if A7 can be swapped out for E flat 7. In the same way that as we move down, after this D minor, the D flat 7 is a tritone of G7. You know, the progression could have gone, and it might go sometimes for some people when they play it. E minor 7, A7, D minor 7, G7, which is just two fives descending in a tone. So it's a 2-5 in the key of D, then a 2-5 in the key of C. But those tritones, the flat 2-7, creates a very satisfying move to chord 6 in E minor, 4 down a semitone again, B7, E minor. Now let's get on to some variations, because you'll be sure if you play this with other people or look at other books and things, you'll see slight variations to the chords. Now one of the most common variations you'll see is between the two A sections is to make, instead of having 2 bars of E minor, go E minor, E7. So like this, you go A minor 7, D7, G major 7, C major 7, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B7, then 1 bar of E minor, then a bar of E7, and then A minor. Now that is used because it's the dominant of A minor, so that E7 will give you a nice push into that A minor again. So that's a very common change. And in the B section, a thing people often like to do on the first line is go 2-5, and then go E minor major 7, E minor 7, E minor 6. So do that slowly. F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B7 as normal, and then there's what we call the minor rundown. So E minor major 7, E minor 7, E minor 6. So just instead of just going 2 bars of E minor, you get this nice move, da, 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 which is quite cool. And the final 2 lines, you might see this: F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B7, and then without the tritones, E minor 7, A7, D minor 7, G7, and then you don't necessarily always see C major 7 as the next chord. Someone might go F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B7, E minor. So some goals for working with this song: memorize those changes, internalize those changes, play along to versions of the song. When you feel you've really got it, try it in another key. You know, G minor is a very common key for this song to be played in. And if you'd like to learn more about some of the concepts in this song, then check out my video on travelling to relatives and also the minor 2-5-1. You take care, and I'll see you next time.